I know Donald Trump said it's a hoax and we're not supposed to talk about it. It's a con job and we shouldn't mention it. But I want to continue to have a conversation about the affordability crisis here in the United States for all of us, not for these couple hundred rich fucks up here, but for all of us. I've talked a lot about the cost of groceries and insurance, et cetera, but I really want to focus more on the ways that the super rich, these corporations, are making our quality of life measurably worse, are fucking up things for communities all over this country, are jacking up our cost of living by making our utility bills go up, for example. All in the name of plunking these AI data centers that suck up water and electricity in your backyard, in my backyard, all over the place. I just posted a long YouTube video that featured the city of Port Washington, Wisconsin, where they are fighting an AI data center that their city council has said can come right on in. And the people are like, what? No. And when I watched that clip, particularly this little part that I'm going to show you here in a second, a light bulb went off for me. I was like, what's happening with AI data centers is very, very similar to something that happened right in my neighborhood a couple of years ago. It's a different iteration of the exact same problem. It's the same old story. Mega corporations from out of state wanting to come in and get rich off of our backs, off of our neighborhoods, off of our children's future. Seducing our city councils, making false promises to them. And city councils being like, we have to prioritize development. We have to prioritize businesses. Like our ex-mayor, Ted Wheeler, said to me in a city council meeting, what about the rights of corporations? What about the rights of businesses? We have to think about them. There's a reason that I have a fuck Ted Wheeler hat. I should get it out and wear it every time I talk about him. Thank God he's not our mayor anymore. Okay. Sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent. Let me play this little clip for you, and then I want to talk about how it connects to what happened here and how it's happening all over this country and what we can and should do about it.
The companies say this data center will create thousands of jobs, but that's not what actually happens.
The members of the Port Washington community are really frustrated that they're being ignored.
I don't see anything in it for Port Washington. The jobs aren't going to be given out to Port Washington residents.
The jobs that data centers do create are mostly temporary construction jobs. Permanent jobs are usually in the dozens and not in the thousands.
So this is speaking of the town of Port Washington, Wisconsin, where an AI data center is coming in. And the thing that these big out-of-state corporations say is they come in and they drive up utility costs. They ask the city, the residents of the city, to pay for infrastructure. They're often given property tax waivers for long periods of time because they promise the city council, who then promises the residents, they're going to bring much needed jobs to your neighborhood. It's a bunch of bullshit, and it's exactly what happened in my neighborhood with a different industry. Prologis, a giant out-of-state corporation that I think is the largest owner of industrial land in the Portland metro area, they came in and they tried to get a 50-year lease on a property that is across the street from the high school. A piece of property where an old Kmart was that went out of business. And folks in the neighborhood were like, that is a beautiful, perfect plot for us to have something like a community garden, a big community center. We could have businesses, we could have affordable housing. Like, there's so much potential there. In our redlined neighborhood, our socioeconomically disenfranchised neighborhood that has constantly been a dumping ground for Portland, we saw Portland City Council, that iteration, say, we have to prioritize business over the residents. The best that your kids can hope for is a job at an Amazon freight warehouse, because that's what they said Prologis was going to come in and build. Now, keep in mind that property, there is this giant freight warehouse where they told us there could be hundreds of 18-wheelers coming in and out on a regular basis, dumping their diesel fumes. And right across the fence line, right here is a low-income apartment complex, belching diesel fumes right into the windows of the bedrooms of kids who go to Park Rose schools. We tried to fight it. Ted Wheeler and Portland City Council said there's nothing we can do. We can't get in the way of the rights of businesses. This will be great for y'all. It'll bring lots of jobs, appropriate level jobs for the kids of the Park Rose neighborhood. Don't think too big above your station. Don't dream too big. Ted Wheeler doesn't want a diesel freight warehouse in his neighborhood, but he didn't have any problem putting it out here in a predominantly non-white neighborhood, in one of the most racially diverse neighborhoods in Portland that is already socioeconomically disadvantaged, has been for decades. Yeah, that was fine. We tried to stop it. We were told there's nothing we can do. This will bring prosperity to your neighborhood. This giant fucking freight warehouse got built. Every time we all drive by it, walk by it, we're like, look at this opportunity cost. This could have been something that enriched our community, that allowed there to be intergenerational connections where our elders could have gone, where children, the youth could have gone and had a safe place, and a safe place free from gang activity, a place for them to go and play basketball and hang out. We could have had a commercial kitchen and people could have used it. We could have had community dinners. We could have had businesses above it, or affordable housing above. Look, so much potential. All of the opportunity cost, because you know what's there now? Giant fucking freight warehouse that sits empty. It sits completely empty. All of this promise of jobs that it's going to bring to your neighborhood. Yeah, no jobs. There's nobody that's leased that building, and they're not going to lease that building. Do you know why? Because the entire United States, and definitely the Portland metro area, is overbuilt with freight warehouses. That bubble has burst. But a couple years ago, everybody, right in the pandemic, everybody was ordering things online, and we were told this is the future of this country. This is where economic prosperity comes. Let these giant shipping warehouses get put in your residential neighborhood. It'll bring jobs there. Now it just sits there empty, vacant. Nothing is happening. No jobs have been brought here. Same thing with data centers. It's not going to bring jobs. It just brings exploitation. That is now valuable real estate that is held by a mega out-of-state corporation. They wanted to secure that property so that their competitors could not have access to it. They never had any intention of doing anything right by the kids of my neighborhood, by the residents of my neighborhood. All they care about is raking in profits and increasing their control of the market. Especially considering directly across the street and down several blocks at Costco, there's another giant freight warehouse, mostly empty. We don't need, this is not the kind of planning, the kind of infrastructure that helps us, the American people. This is what happens in late stage capitalism. You get mega corporations saying, hey, this is really good for our quarterly profits. This is good for us hurting our competitor. This is good for us in the moment. We aren't thinking about the impact to the residents who have to live next to these shitty, god-awful freight warehouses and AI centers for the next 50 years. We're not thinking about the opportunity cost for the American people. We're not thinking about the livability and prosperity for the people. We're just thinking about corporate profit, corporate greed. The tiny little Park Rose coffee shop employs more people than a giant freight warehouse that is eating up incredibly valuable real estate in my neighborhood. And the cost to my neighborhood, people who live here, is tremendous. The opportunity cost is just, it makes me so angry every time I think about what city council allowed to happen here. And it's happening all over the country. Not so much with freight warehouses anymore because that bubble has burst, but we are watching this frantic pace of this AI bubble that's just, it's gonna pop any day now. They're foisting ChatGPT down our throats as they're trying to tell us you have to accept AI. Sure, it's going to cost you all jobs. It's going to increase your utility bills. It's going to make your quality of life actionably worse. But we need to get richer, right? All of these technocrat bros who've tried to sell us AI, they need to justify all of their startups, and they need to make sure that they consolidate their wealth and power. It doesn't matter what happens to our neighborhoods. It doesn't matter about our quality of life at all. That is what late stage capitalism is. That is what life is like in Donald Trump's America, with deregulation, with corruption, with the government operating as a kleptocracy. This is what it looks like when the oligarchy is in control. This is what it looks like when we have a country that does not work for the people. A country that should be of, by, and for the people is run by mega corporations. This is why we need dark money out of our politics. This is why we need Citizens United overturned. This is why we need elected officials who work for us. Because when they work for these corporations, this is what happens. When we should have sustainable housing, sustainable businesses, when we should have community centers, when we should have a conscientious use of the land in a way that benefits us. Instead, what we get are mega corporations sweeping in, seducing our city councils, and pillaging communities all across this country. 2, 3, 4 years ago, it was freight warehouses. Right now, it's AI data centers. What will be next unless we stop it? Because it will just be some new iteration of whatever game the billionaires are playing, whatever game these mega corporations are playing with our lives, with our neighborhoods. So I guess I want to leave you with these questions. What would it look like to have an America that works for us? What would it look like to have our government work for us, the people, for our quality of life? And then how do we organize to get there? How do we build that America? Because it's not unattainable. There's a couple hundred of them and there's hundreds of millions of us.